Welcome to the show. We are on the Baxter Effect podcast. Your host, John Baxter, and another amazing show about medbed technology in regards to real people and real solutions. And before we get going, I'd like to thank our sponsor, Antiaging Bed. If you want to find out more about this amazing podcast and the technology behind it, visit antiagingbed.com and you'll learn more. And today's topic, real stories about real people with the medbed technology of the future. We're going to be covering this topic in many different levels. And we're going to see this topic as something that, you could explore from an outsider looking in. Like, what do we really do? What is the story here at play? And where do you find yourself? And so one of the things I like to ask people, because I hear it every week. We hear this every week when someone says, I've tried everything. That is a typical response that we hear. They say, we changed our diets. We tried different supplements. We saw different specialists, different doctors. I ran some specific tests, and still I feel groggy, inflamed, tired. How many times have I heard this, guys? It's we have people fly all over the world for nearly almost a decade now to check in with us in regards to their chronic health disease. And over the years, what we found is that there are people being left for, per se, dead. There are people that have these issues and they have nowhere to go. But the thing is, what we can talk about today is that when something interesting happens, like a futuristic health technology like MedBed, one of the things that what we know is that certain things can help someone get better. One is just a change in their environment. And a small change in someone's environment can respond to specific people's bodies again and again. And what we typically see is their energy starts to improve, their sleep improves, their inflammation drops. And so the real question becomes, what really changed? And why do some people finally turn the corner after years of being stuck in chronic disease? And why, today what we're talking about is the real behind the scenes pattern of people that have made real life turnarounds, including myself. We've got over thousands of people that had real life turnarounds that were left for dead and told that they had no real health solutions. And that's why this is such an important topic today, because people need to realize many people feel stuck. A lot of times when we talk about tests, realize that a lot of the symptomatic issues in the big pharma solution is masking symptoms. And so the turnaround often starts with not only our scanning technology, but it starts with changing their environment, the food they put in their body, the technology and the concept of health technology that changes not only their internal environment, but their external environment. These are all so important. And the question we are answering today, what are the actual changes? So people often get stuck, and I found myself in this very scenario over 25 years. My concept of the health technology of the past and even today, the standard medical of care, was that I had a mistrust in the current healthcare system over 25 years ago. I was frustrated because there was only two things that you could really do: get on drugs or get a surgery. And those were primarily the two things they pushed for. But neither one was an honorable solution. They were really just charging you a lot of money, and they never really went to the core root of the issue. So one of the biggest frustrations in modern health is this moment where someone is told, your labs look normal, everything looks fine, but you don't feel normal. So there is a huge gap when you look at symptoms and the diagnostic healthcare system of today and the reality of how people think and feel. There's a large gap, because even though we have advanced technologies, why are people suffering from chronic health disease? If we're so advanced and our current system is so advanced, then why are 60 to 70% of people living with one chronic health disease in America, where it's a lot less in other countries? Well, that's where people lose trust in this system. And that's where I lost trust a long time ago. And that often happens when the dysfunction begins long before the disease. So if they say your labs look fine, but you feel bad, well, the dysfunction has already started before the disease appears. And that's a common situation, believe it or not. The body can struggle for years before damage even becomes measurable. They say that cancer, per se, it takes over 7 years to develop. So if you have the warning signs, if you have the entry-level issues, and it's being able to be seen, you can pretty much predict, if you follow the same path or trajectory that you're on, the likelihood of chronic disease is pretty high. And that goes to say, everywhere from RFK Jr. suggesting that 70% of people have a chronic disease, at least one. There's a lot of people with 2 or 3 chronic diseases. And the unfortunate thing is these started long before the actual disease appeared. And so for example, we see this all the time. Your oxygen is not being delivered throughout your system. You're not working, and the body is not working efficiently, and chronic stress signals from the nervous system, lymphatic congestion, and sleep disruption can overload your environment. And it's just downhill from there. Just one of those things is downhill. Multiple things is still very much going downhill. And these things really show up on a standard blood test. It's a very archaic system. How is a standard blood test going to help you with understanding the reality of each system in your body? So, but the realization is the body knows. The body intrinsically knows the issues that are going on, but our health system is so dilapidated that they really don't even listen to you. Most doctors spend very little time even getting to know you and your symptoms and the way you feel and how these symptoms are being affecting even the body. So one of the things I'd love to chat about is, your lab ranges versus optimal function. In the lab work, they don't usually use a full spectrum. They usually look in a little area of your spectrum to determine what is wrong with you. And I believe that is wrong. Another one is symptoms appear before disease. So if you cancel out your symptoms, you won't know what your diseases are or could be. So we're masking the real disease by using medicine that covers symptoms, and that is oftentimes an early dysfunction of our current healthcare system. And that's why people go by the wayside, and that is why there's so many health issues today. And if you understand that, people do feel dismissed by even their own lab work. So I'm going to take this for a short moment to make a cut here when we realize that the Baxter Bioscanner, one of the most elaborate, most advanced scanning technologies in the world, was developed and created by Antiaging Bed. You can do a live scan by visiting us live here in Orlando, Florida, or one of our locations nationwide. Or you could just simply send us your hair and nail sample, And we will give you an electronic blood test. There's no time to wait. This offer is now, and if you make contact with us, type in free scan in the comments below, or click on the link in the description of this podcast to learn more. This is a $500 scan value. You will hear the most amazing things. Not only to mention things that no doctor will ever tell you, but the real issues that are going on at hand in your physiology and in your environment and the systems that you require your body to work at an optimal level. So if systems are weakened, physiological states are down, there's lots of cellular impairment, realize we are here for you, and we're here to pull the needle out of the haystack and help you reduce your stress, anxiety, and reduce chronic fatigue, chronic disease, which is our specialty, but more importantly, to end human suffering. So take a quick look at that, respond. Please like, share, comment on this podcast, because there's someone out there that needs to hear this. And going on to the next factor, and this is one of my favorite ones. It's one of the most misunderstood understandings of human health, and that is the environmental factors, right? We know that just being around the wrong people is an environmental factor. We know that putting certain things in your body is an environmental factor. But what we hear and see again and again in recovery stories, that people change something in their environment, and when they do, it's not a miracle, it's strictly science. And in this medbed category with frequency medicine, I think it was Dr. Arthur who said that any distinguishable advanced technology is essentially indistinguishable from magic. So in frequency medicine, there is a science behind it, and it seems like magic, but it's common sense science. It's not a miracle treatment, and it may appear to be a miracle, but really what it is it's the knowledge and the information that you don't understand, likely. A lot of our followers do. But likely, it's a very hard understanding, because you must see this body as electric, and you must understand that everything is energy, frequency, and vibration. And when medical science makes that change, there'll be another 70% improvement in your health. And that is the movement that we created, and this is the movement that's going to help change the world. So, as we know, just the inputs around the body are significant when we talk about the environment. And we also talk about what's going on in the body. Are we living in a parasympathetic or a sympathetic environment? And we realize a lot of us are living in survival mode. Survival mode is a mode that has a lot of cortisol levels, which is stress and anxiety. If we never get out of that pattern of behavior or thought or even action or internally, we will be stuck in a state of chronic health disease. And so our goal is to improve our sleep, improve our stress levels, these environmental levels, to get more oxygen, to get more movement, to calm our nervous system, and to start moving. A lot of you guys know that I do Tai Chi. I'm an advocate for Tai Chi. And to move is to move your lymphatic, to reconnect, get some sunlight and grounding. And when the body senses a supportive environment, one that is nutritionally aligned, one that is relaxation and peace, not just stress. The body starts to realize this, and it starts to become more calm, and it gives the body to not only relax its ongoing mindset, but it allows it to sleep. All healing occurs in a relaxed environment. And that's why if you can't sleep, you're likely not repairing and you're not rejuvenating at the level you should be. And when the body, as I said, senses danger or overload, all the repair within this body slows down. Your body is constantly asking one question: is it safe to repair right now? All you healers out there, you know this is true, right? You can't rationally repair yourself. I can't say rationally that I could heal myself, right? It's just not going to happen. But if I was feeling safe, and likely I didn't have to ask the question, and I was feeling relaxed, guess what? The body will innately know what to do, and that is to go into repair mode. And it will say, am I safe right now? You know what? The body won't even have to ask if it's safe before it starts repairing. But not in today's environment. So many people today are just under so much anxiety, stress, and fear and panic that their body will never feel safe. So that leads to the point where these are all things to work on. And these are environmental cues within our biology. These are constantly being evaluated by the body for safety. There are many examples of environmental stresses, and there's also many examples of environmental healing solutions, or I would say more well said, relaxed environmental states versus high stress input states. So this will allow the body to do what it's supposed to do. And when we get from here, when we talk about environment, the next thing that comes into mind is our own nervous system. And so we are electric, and the highway of this electrical system is honestly our nervous system. Our nervous system is electrically conductive at a high level, and it even is created by signals. Signals are everything. And the time I touch my fingers to the time my body understands that I touch my fingers because I chose to touch my fingers, not only were able to do the action, but the body was able to electrically know this response. And so this is where so much of this fight or flight or relaxed state is imperative for not only the med bed system, but your overall health. Many people today are living in permanent survival mode. You see it everywhere. We're living in a place where people say they're OCD, and that means you're in survival mode. What happens in survival mode? Shallow breathing. Shallow breathing means you're almost suffocating yourself because you're living under so much stress and pressure. You likely have poor sleep, tight muscles, not supple muscles, anxiety and stress, and constant fatigue. And so the body has two operating states. And it's important that you know that these two are survival mode and repair mode. You can't repair when you're in survival mode. So if you can't repair when you're in survival mode, and a lot of us are in survival mode, being stuck in cruise control on survival mode is where most people are at today. And that mode is full of stress, anxiety, and chronic disease. When survival signals dominate the body, the body diverts all its resources towards protection. Repair becomes secondary. This isn't a failure of the body. It's the body doing exactly what it was designed to do. So, sympathetic dominance versus stress hormones versus survival and repair versus nervous system safety. How far along are we in this understanding of futuristic health technology? Hopefully, what you see today is that this is much more simple than anyone has ever brought about. It's simple because it was always simple. We were born in a natural environment. Even though we were born in a man-made environment, maybe we live in a concrete jungle. Maybe that's how we started the first portion of our life. But realize, in nature, in a running stream in a mountain, in a vast ocean, in a beautiful rainforest, this is nature, nature's real environment, where there's plenty of oxygen, there's plenty of sunlight, there's grounding, there's nutritious foods that are not man-made. And so we find ourselves at the precipice of something much more major. And we realize that the last 100 years of human society is that and it's really hard to believe, that even with these major healthcare systems, trillion-dollar industries, our life expectancy drops. So for the first time in it's been steadily dropping, but can you imagine, for the last 100 years, our life expectancy here in America has dropped. Even with a trillion-dollar industry, how does that even make sense? Well, please like, share, comment, ask in the comments below. Be happy to respond. Which brings us to the last situation, is the flow factor. And the flow factor in regards to this is the ability to get into the flow. Are your systems in the flow? And when we see people turning around and getting healthier, are they in the flow of, are their systems being brought back online? Are there patterns of behavior that were once negative and now are good? Is there anxiety and stress as the commonality, or have those stresses and anxieties fell by the wayside? So the flow factor is one of the last topics I want to talk about today. And when flow improves, your blood circulation improves. When your lymphatic drainage improves, your whole system improves. When oxygen delivery improves, not only does your digestion improve, your energy improves. If your fascia loosens from stress, so much of the tension in the body relaxes. So when flow within the body slows down, waste removal slows down, inflammation builds, energy drops, and when flow returns, the body begins to correct itself. And so many of the stories we hear in the med bed is like, we get their flow back. We get their energy going in the right direction, and the body and the DNA within the body, it's already a self-adapting mechanism designed for healing. So what have we done here? What do we promote? Well, we promote circulation. We promote lymphatic movement and drainage. We promote better oxygen delivery. We promote reducing tension within the body. We promote waste elimination and removal. And in this realm of getting the body back online, there are regenerative environments. In these regenerative environments, one of the most interesting developments in health right now is the idea of regeneration. And instead of focusing on a single treatment, the system attempts to support multiple biological processes in one time. Med bed solution. We use a lot of times over 9, but the number of completion is 9. And if we have 9 complementary technologies going on at one time, Don't you think that is more of an elaborate, futuristic health technology, one that you can measure, one that you can monitor and manage, that can show the actual health improvement within the time frame that's allotted? And going back to the MedBed system, you're going to get oxygen support, frequency stimulation, circulation enhancement, grounding inputs, lymphatic movement, nervous system calming. So the idea is not to force healing. The idea is to remove the barriers to healing and repair. When the body receives the right signals, it often restores balance. And oftentimes we like to take put our technology against big pharma. Would it be environmental health tech and environmental technology, like I was saying, studying around the body, within the body, what you put in the body? Or are we more studying isolated treatments? And so there is a big difference between the current healthcare system and a futuristic healthcare system. The combined biological inputs. How much of the system that we have today is accurate? How much of the system today is under air, human air? How much of the system today is correct in its common sense and science? So if we remove the barriers to repair the body, we will have disease. And so it's important that we remove these barriers so that we can repair. And one of the things I'd like to touch, our sponsor, Antiaging Bed, has created a longevity MedBed concept. Now, we all know about lifting weights and going to the next machine and the next machine that's doing something specific to enhance our health. But our concept of the MedBed longevity system not only increases stem cells, not only does it increase the telomere length, we have so much, including an AI system, that we are so far ahead with this MedBed longevity concept that the future of healthcare that you always hear claimed from a MedBed situation, the concept behind the MedBed and longevity environments is based on this simple principle. Create a space where the body receives signals that support the repair of your system. Signals that improve oxygen efficiency, circulation, lymphatic flow, nervous system stabilization, cellular communication within the system, and there you have it. A well-documented machine that can take you from point A to point B, unlike any system today. This is not about magic. It's about supporting the conditions that allow the body to do what it was designed to do, and that was to heal yourself. So longevity environments are so important within the MedBed longevity system because it supports natural environmental inputs using an enhanced forces of nature, and this physiological understanding is not a miracle. As though it may appear a miracle, like I've said in the past, it's common sense, real, factual data, along with technologies that are more scientifically understood and more from the concept of just common sense versus an outlook and understand the body that's done nothing more than to charge and bill your credit card. So I'd like to leave it like this. Most people are not broken. They're being overlooked. When the oxygen improves, the energy improves. When circulation improves, guess what? Repair improves. When the nervous system feels safe again, healing begins. The future of health may not be about forcing the body to heal harder, it will be maybe simply be about giving the body the signal it needs to work properly and optimally again. The real turnarounds start with real signals, and that is the concept around our anti-aging bed med bed systems. We have 100 technologies here, guys, and the real turnarounds come because we understand the body as electric, and because of that subset of healthcare, everything becomes better, well understood. Nikola Tesla was the one that said, if you want to understand the secrets to the universe, including this body, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. That very truth alone would change healthcare today, and there are companies doing the legwork that have spent decades upon decades upon decades to improve the health and the human suffering and find the reality of a system that can be measured, monitored, and managed in the comfort of your own home, with the understanding that your data is your data, your understanding of healthcare and the body needs a second opinion. We are here to give you that education and information to take your health to the next level, not only yours, your families, your communities, and the community at large. And this is because this is the true future of what we all hope for. And it feels so rewarding to be with you here today. There's nothing more rewarding, and I've been completely blessed to be able to share this health technology with you guys. And if you want to learn more, find us at antiagingbed.com. Click on the link in the description below. Also, comment, like, share, comment, a free scan, get the $500 free healthcare assessment, and you will be blown away. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for joining in on the Baxter Effect podcast. Your host, John Baxter. And until next time, have a great day.